But let me ask you, all of this that you're saying presumably is going to cost, as you say, money and investment. But many African countries have been very heavily impacted by the sudden cut in USAID, which means that, well, I just would like to hear from you how it's impacting lives and what it'll mean in terms of a government's ability to pay for these things that you're suggesting, while now it might have to also pay for this healthcare that maybe it didn't before.
Well, actually, just to be clear, the era of aid is gone, as we know it, completely gone. And I think the issue with aid is benevolence. But Christian, benevolence is not an asset class, right? People don't invest in that. The critical thing that we need to look at when it comes to the issue of aid is first and foremost to recognize that countries have to grow domestic resources. You don't grow by depending on others. You grow by expanding your domestic resources. So, for example, in the case of Africa, you want more taxes. And you want governments not only collect taxes, though, they have to deliver the value to the communities and the countries through a social contract. And secondly, you want to make sure that the whole issue of the discipline of investment, I want Africa to develop through the discipline of investment. Africa has so much. You just talked about it. Look at renewable energy. We've got sunshine. God loves Africa so much. They've got so much of it. We've got hydropower. We have massive youth population that can become the labor force of the world. We have lots of land. Christian, 65% of the arable land left in the world to feed almost 9.5 billion people by 2050. It's in Africa. So what Africa does with it will determine the future of food in the world. So essentially what we've got to do is that. Now, how do we turn this into an opportunity for ourselves? First, I think that the issue of aid should be turned more into concessional financing. Why? Because concessional financing allows multilateral financial institutions like ourselves to do the following. First, we can mobilize private capital. Private capital is the engine of growth. We can help to develop projects. We can help to de-risk projects. We can help to also make sure that these projects, you have risk capital that you can provide for the private sector and blended finance that many of them can use. And so that is the way that I believe that we should go. And actually, Christian, at the end of the day, I think that Africa is the largest greenfield, open field in the world. Everything Africa has is challenged, whether it's energy, whether it's water, sanitation, whether it's health, it's an investor's dream. And so I want Africa to develop with pride, because there's no pride in begging from anybody. You develop based on your resources, and you have a hard-nosed way of actually doing that. So my issue is I want US and Africa working a lot more together. I want to see investment partnerships between African countries, a lot more with the United States, but on Africa's terms.